Hi guys. So I'm back to talk about my mushroom journey after my ayahuasca journey and after my vipassana. Vipassana, 2 weeks later, ayahuasca, a month later, mushrooms. I was really on a mission to wake up, to turn the lights back on at that time. It was like, no, I know that I don't need to spend too much time in this contracted consciousness. I'm willing and I'm going to do whatever I need to do to switch things on again, to turn the lights on again. Which to me just basically means not being so identified with the ego self, but pulling that awareness back, whatever to whatever point, whatever that means for you. For me, during my first awakening, it was becoming more identified with the non-judgmental awareness behind my eyes. So that it was as simple as that for me. It was like, I am the non-judgmental awareness that is experiencing this reality through this physical vessel. I wasn't identified with the vessel or with the ego or with the ego's past or any of that. Of course, you still need it to operate in the world, but my identification was not with it. So for me, turning the lights on is to disentangle myself from the I can't even say belief, from the attachment to the ego as being who I am. And so, yeah, I was on a mission, and then I went on the mushroom journey. Now, what I would recommend, or just I got to put this out there right at the beginning, is to be safe, when exploring this stuff. And I would recommend doing it with a shaman or with somebody who's trained, somebody who's going to take care of you, to definitely not do it alone, and to not do it with a group of people who are going to be tripping their asses off as much as you. You need to feel safe. And so if you do decide not to do it, or if you don't have the access to doing it in that kind of safe environment, then to have a sitter, have somebody who's capable of taking care of you, who can do something about whatever happens if something needs to be done. Not trying to scare you, I'm just saying this because it is important to note, to be responsible and careful. So for me, I did it with my brother. We went out to our family cabin, which is mostly quiet and private and very dark. So you don't have a lot of light pollution, noise pollution, air pollution. It's really nice out there, and it's not too far from home. And we treated it the same way that we treated the ayahuasca ceremony in terms of preparation. He'd done a mushroom ceremony before, with a shaman as well, who walked him through that process and who kind of cared and took care of him and the others. That might have been about a year before we did the ayahuasca journey together. And I did 3.5 grams on a fasted body, which I thought would have been fine, but it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot for me. The reason being, there were many moments where I stopped breathing, which is why I'm putting that warning at the beginning of this video. I stopped breathing, like my body just forgot how to breathe. And then something would kick in, that survival thing would kick in and remind me that, dude, you need to breathe. And suddenly I would consciously take a deep gasp of air, as though you'd been holding your breath underwater for ages, and suddenly or finally you get to the surface of the water and you can take, it was like that, this massive breath in. And this happened numerous times. So it was a little concerning, but I was not in the state to recognize danger. So I remember having the thought of, I might very well die tonight. It would be really unfortunate if my brother found my lifeless body on the bed in the morning or at some point in the night. I really hope that doesn't happen for his sake. Like I had no attachment to life or death. But there was the definite consideration that my body might stop breathing and it might die. Anyway, some of the other things that happened during the session were, of course, extreme sensitivity to sound. Every sigh that he made was piercingly loud. It was like it was happening in the center of my head. The music playing was like it was in the center of my head. The music was okay to have in the center of my head, but the sighing was like torture. My gosh. So I went to the other room to try to get away from it, but the walls are so thin. It was in the room with me. Yeah, it was very, very unpleasant. So the sensitivity to sound and to touch and to all kinds of things. While I was in the room, I had a look at my hand on more than one occasion, and I noticed I had 6 fingers. And I could, looking at the 6 fingers, I could physically touch each of them. And they were really, really long. So it was like, whoa, that's really, really cool. These fingers are so long. And there's a 6th finger. Wow, that's really awesome. Coming back to my intentions, I had intended to connect with the inner child. Now I started making this video and then decided to stop it and start again, and I can't remember if I've shared this stuff with you guys in this video. So I'm going to share it again and then maybe edit it out or just leave it if I have already shared it. But here we go. Inner child stuff. From 2021 December, I started to feel the inner child stuff niggling. And from that point, and when I came home, I knew that there was stuff that I would have to see or that would surface by me coming home and being with my family again. I didn't know what it would be. I didn't know what it would look like, but I had this curiosity and this interest to understand my inner child, to connect with my inner child, to heal my inner child. I really had this drive. And so that was one of the main intentions. The second intention was to know where my soul might have spent most of its time in the universe, on which planets, basically. I had worked with some Pleiadians or they had worked with me in a healing session or request. I had worked with them. I had asked them to do some healing physically on my body, the Pleiadian medical team. And when I was in that process, I could see these blue orbs and feel the energy in my body moving and the stuff shifting and being done. So that was the one time that I had connected with them. I did, kind of call on them, I think, over a couple of nights in that period. But other than that, I hadn't really had any other conscious experiences with Pleiadians. Arcturians, I started channeling. It was random completely. And it would come sometimes when I was guiding other people in meditation, but just one-on-one. And they would channel a message, or I would channel a message through for them without preparation, without a thought. It would just kind of happen while I was guiding. And then also in my own meditations, I would, have certain messages come in. But it's only ever been vocalized through Arcturians or with Arcturians. I don't recall having vocalized any other channeled message. So that, that's an interesting thing to note. So I had some curiosity about, where am I most connected to? Which star race am I most connected to? because I had been learning a lot at the time from a woman from Gaia.com, I don't remember her name, about these different star races, and I had a lot of curiosity and interest in it at the time. So when I went in, my intention was to know this. Aside from all the strange experiences, the experience with the Pleiades, not the Pleiades, with the Andromedans. In fact, it wasn't the actual Andromedans. It was this inner child that kind of came online. And the inner child, while at the same time that I was seeing 6 fingers, 6 long fingers, and said, I am Andromedan. And she kept saying, I am Andromedan, I am Andromedan, like a real 7-year-old. It was my 7-year-old self that came online. And she kept saying that and kind of singing it. And I felt this resonance to what she was saying. But I had not learned anything about Andromeda before that. So it was after that experience, I went and I started looking up all this information about who are the Andromedans? Who are they? What do they do? Where are they from? What's all of this about? And I started learning more about Andromedan, which was interesting because one of the things I'd learned was that there are a race of beings from Andromeda, almost like an angelic race that has wings. And if you've seen my video about me having my etheric wings open up, can we say? Reveal themselves, come online. It made me wonder if that's where the wings come from, if it's in connection with the winged Andromedan race. I still don't have the answer to that. I'm still in the quest for understanding, the seeking to know who I am. But yes, the Andromedan thing popped up, and then the inner child. And she was so funny, I gotta tell you. Like, she had no interest in my brother's or in her brother's philosophies. He was in a deep state of philosophizing, if that's a word, about all kinds of things, reality and the mind and whatever things. He was trying to tell a 7-year-old this. I came out of the room like a cartoon character, creeping along the floor with my hands like this. And I was basically just like imitating Bugs Bunny or some character from I can't even tell you, because I wasn't thinking about a cartoon character. I was just really animated. And I remember listening to him and thinking, adults are so serious, and saying to him, like, you need to have more fun, like I just try to get him out of his head and like, you got to have more fun. And it was really interesting. It was really a moment of deeply connecting with that playfulness. And she kept like telling him to be quiet, but the way she was doing it, like I kept going like, it's so annoying as an adult. But as a kid, it's like every time he tried to pull me into some deep philosophy, some serious life thing, the kid would go and make a funny face and like do some funny thing, and then tell him he's too serious and he needs to play. And then she would make, like, in all honesty, I would not want anybody to see me like that. I had zero control. Zero control over any of it. Well, I mean, I stopped breathing, so zero control. I think any more than that, I don't think my body would want any more than the dose that I had taken. But those were the main things that happened in the session. Again, I had this intense headache, the same as the ayahuasca trip. Again, I don't know if it was related to not enough water or if it's related to the mushrooms, because that's the common denominator between both experiences. I can't tell you. But Yeah, it was a really um, expansive experience, and I haven't done another journey since that one, which was in 2022, maybe October, November. Um, but I have again been really keen to use plant medicines again to kind of help. And surprisingly, I did do one or two smaller trips at the beginning of this year when my dark night of the soul had really set in again. But it wasn't a big enough trip. I was alone, and nothing really came of it. I haven't tried microdosing, which is something that I was also kind of keen on exploring. But now going through Kundalini awakening and all this energy like pulsing through my body intensely, it's like it doesn't seem wise to add plant medicines on top of this. So I have decided to wait with that and allow this energy to continue doing its thing. My little guy. Allow the energies that are currently moving to do their thing, and then yeah, see, maybe later when things settle, it might feel like a better time to do some plant medicines again. um, I think I'll leave it there. I will say in the next video that I have more insights on the twin flame journey. And I realized that a lot of the energy actually gets activated through communication with my counterpart. I will make another video on that. No licking. Okay. So I'm going to leave it there. And you guys have a really, really cool day. And I'll see you on the Divine Counterpart video. Much, much love. And yeah, have a good one.